Boom. 2 minutes. 120 seconds. Sometimes you got to roll with the punches. And it's not something that I'm proud of, but every so often it happens, and when it does, you sort of just lean into it. And when you lean into it, it's going to do what it's going to do. All right. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. This beautiful, what is it? Tuesday, Wednesday, tell me. Thursday. Where are the days going? Earlier today, I had lunch with my brother and his friend, who's also my friend by default. And we were talking about how quickly the year has literally gone by. I mean, we're already in the middle of October. And I mean, basically October is gone, mate. We're bleeding into November. And you know what that means? It means we're going to be in December soon. And you know what that means? It means the year is going to be done. Goodness, where does the time go? It's amazing. Guys, tell me in the comments below if this broadcast is clear. There are a couple of things I'd like to share with you from my perspective. And this is purely from my perspective. And I'm well within my rights to do that. That's a concept you're going to have to get used to. You really are. Some of you not all of you, some of you shock me. Whenever I do make a post about something, you have this idea that must you talk about everything? Well, let's begin. I don't talk about everything. I discuss, make comment on matters that I'm interested in. Do you ever hear me talking about astrophysicists? I don't, because I'm not interested in that. That's not my forte. That is not my strong suit. I only talk about things that I am interested in and things that I have some semblance of knowledge about. Okay? And this is the great thing about owning your own platform, is that when you do have an opinion, all you have to do, mate, is press record, turn on the lights, and frappe. We're in business. All righty. So before I get into my dissertation, I have to, first of all, as is my custom, I have to make absolutely doubly certain that we are on and my volume, my voice is loud and clear, and that I'm using the lapel mic. I have to make sure of that. Let's see. There you go. There you go. I can hear my voice. We're on the straight and narrow. We are. Guys, let's get into it. Incidentally, I must make mention the Makebi Zulu and his team. Have you noticed that Zambians are very slowly beginning to wean themselves off of the topic of ECL's burial? Tell me in the comments if you know that. Just raise your hand if you've noticed, if you have taken note that the Zambian people have very slowly, gradually begun to wean themselves off. You know the word wean? You know how a baby suckles? Suckles. You can say suckle, you can say suck. When a baby sucks the mother's teat, not tit, teat, there's a stage where the baby doesn't suck as much as it used to. It is being weaned off the teat. Weaned, not wind. Weaned. Bantu Mozambique, you have to explain that. You know. At windy? No. Weaned. Zambia is beginning to wean itself off of the topic of ECL's burial. Why? Because Makebi Zulu and his team are doing nothing but changing the goalposts. But I've said it once, I'll say it again, and I will never stop saying it. When the dust settles and when the dew dries, guys, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much they try to rearrange the chairs on the Titanic, the end result will be the same. ECL will ultimately be buried on this homeland, in the beautiful soil of Zambia, not in the hard, cold ground of the Amazulus. It's never going to happen. It's not going to happen now. It's not going to happen ever. Makebi Zulu is doing nothing but making money in South Africa on the back of a dead body. That's all he's doing. That star South African lawyer that was a star on social media in Zambia for a few weeks, he's laughing all the way to the bank, mate. Do you have any idea how colossal the bill that he gave to the Lungu family? Of course they can afford it because they've got millions of dollars stashed. But my point is this: lawyers like that South African lawyer, it's the same. It's all about the dosh, mate. It's all about umuzulu chapa impia. It's all about the grudas. In the same vein, by the same token, it doesn't matter what Makebi Zulu says. There is no nobility in Makebi Zulu. There's no honor amongst thieves. He does what he does because he's milking the Lungu family for everything they've got. And let's be clear, they've got a lot. They do. So now Makebi Zulu says, no, we've stopped talking to the government because of the sentiments that are being spewed on social media, that are being funded by affiliates of the government. Makebi, you're going to come up with every excuse in the book. The very first time he said, no, talks have died down, talks have gone south because of three things. Number one, he said the RDA was working on the road that leads to ECL's official residence. The government turned around and said, okay, we're going to down tools. We're not going to work on the road until the process is done. Secondly, Makebi Zulu said, no, we're upset because the government closed the international airport from people attending and witnessing the landing of ECL's remains. The government barred everybody from going there except a select few, a select invited people to witness the landing of ECL's remains. The government made it clear that they couldn't open the international airport to unruly 15, 20,000 PF thugs running amok in the airport, doing whatever the hell they want to do. The government said that is a security concern. It wouldn't be prudent, it wouldn't be right, nay, it wouldn't be wise. It wouldn't be wise to allow any Jim and Jack, any Tom, Dick and Harry to go to the airport while ECL's remains land. Can you imagine PF cadres escorting the coffin from the international airport through Great East Road? That is the spirit of the PF. The government recognized that and said, we're not going to have it. We're not going to put the Zambian people at risk. We're not going to put the international community at risk. The airport is closed off. Makebi Zulu, he didn't like that. You know, and it's been one thing after another, and it will never stop. Today, it's no, because the way you talked about Bishop Wariki, Katushika Nima Arik Bandabo, because Arik Banda is being attacked on social media by media houses that are affiliated to the state. Because of that, the talks have ceased. Or as we say in Zambia, have ceased. Makebi Zulu changes the goalposts every single time, and he will never stop doing it. But here's the point. It doesn't matter how much he showboats. It doesn't matter how much he tries to change the goalposts. It doesn't matter how much they try and attempt to change the chairs on the Titanic. That ship, SHIP, is still going to sink. ECL is going to be buried here. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It's coming here. The body's coming here, where it belongs, in the homeland. All right. Guys, I have a couple of things I have to share with you. I want to talk about, now generally I don't really talk about this thing that people, let me give you the origin of this. It was first started by Chilufyate. Chilufyate was the very first person that tried to peddle this false information that my late father, Dr. Simon Mwewa, was not my biological father. Trust me, he was. And even if I tell you that 1 billion times, that he was my biological father, there are some people that simply won't believe that. And that's fine. It doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't. I mean, Prince Harry in England, he went through the same thing. There are people within the English community that truly believe that Prince Harry is not the biological son to Prince Charles. That's what they believe. They have been falsely led down a rabbit's hole. And that's their problem to believe that. Harry is the biological son to Prince Charles. Nothing's going to change that. Not a tabloid, not a newspaper, nothing will change that. I remember when Barack Obama, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, who is the current president of America, Donald Trump started something called the birther movement. Please tell me in the comments if you remember the birther movement. The birther movement basically insinuated that Barack Obama was not born in Hawaii, that he was born in Kenya, and that he was a naturalized citizen, meaning he became a citizen through a legal process. He didn't become a U.S. citizen through birth. Donald Trump championed that false information. And he kept on saying over and over again, no, show us the birth certificate. Show us the birth certificate. Show us the birth certificate that proves that you were born in Hawaii, which then would prove that you are an American citizen. For a long time, Barack Obama ignored that. Barack Obama's inner circle, his inner sanctum, advised the president at that time, said, no, don't bother with that, because you're going to deflect attention from the real issues, and you're going to lend credence to Donald Trump's rantings. But finally, Barack Obama decided, he said, you know what? Let's just release the birth certificate. Okay, let's just, so that the noise dies down, because as long as we don't produce the birth certificate, there are people that will still believe that I'm not an American. Lo and behold, Barack Obama produced the birth certificate. Guess what people, there's a certain sect of people that believed that Barack Obama was not an American citizen. The moment Barack Obama released the birth certificate, guess what they said? Well, this could be forged. This could easily be forged. I mean, the print in this section of the certificate is not very clear. This letter is not printed right. They began to cross-check, they began to re-examine the birth certificate, and yet the birth certificate was authentic. What's my point? My point is, when you are a public figure and someone leads a narrative, there are people that will believe it regardless. There's nothing you can do about it. If there are 100,000 people, 10 people will believe it. And there's nothing you can do to change those 10 people's minds. Nothing. It is in their head. They've accepted it, they've embraced it, that this is their truth, and it'll never change. So, Chilufya Tayali came up with this story that Simon Mwewa was not my biological father. Now, what's interesting about that is that I'm 56 years old. As far back as I can remember, my father has always been in my life. Always. There's not a day that I can remember a time in my life when he wasn't in my life. I spent my whole life with him. Literally, my whole life with him. Not only that, my mother. I've spent my whole life with my mother and my brothers and sisters. I've known nothing else. If that were true, if this false story were true, if this false narrative that Chilufya Tayali first birthed out, first spewed, and some of you, thank God not all of you, but many of you believe that lie. It's a lie. It's not true. If it were true, then wow, what an amazing father he was. Woo! Boy, I tell you what, but the truth is this. I know who I am, and I know whose I am. Woo! That scripture there, boy, I'm feeling this thing up in here, Bobby. I know who I am, and I know whose I am. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, mate. It doesn't matter. It's water off a duck's back. It doesn't change the fact. It doesn't change the immutable truth that the blood that runs through my veins belongs to one Simon Mwewa. Accept that. You'll sleep better at night when you do that. But if it bothers you that much, there's nothing I can do for you, mate. Nothing. Now, Jay Tony, he's a comedian on social media. There are many people that have said that after Tayali began to spew that lie. Many people, Lily Lunatic Matambo said the same thing. She's been singing about that for Lord knows how long. So many people, and I really didn't care because it's, it's not true. But there's certain people that when they say something, it hurts you because you know they know the truth. Jay Tony, as far as I know, is a traditionalist. What do you mean? And how do you know that? He imitates I think it's his mother or his grandmother. Please tell me in the comments, who does he imitate? Who does he emulate? Is that his grandmother or his mother? Who is that he channels? He lives vicariously through I think it's his grandmother or his mother. Tell me in the comments who he imitates. Tell me who he imitates. Is that his mother or his grandmother? And there's a reason I'm bringing this up. I have a point. There's a point behind my what I'm saying. There's a reason I'm bringing that up. You're not telling me in the comments. It means to me, it says to me that you don't know. Some of you don't know, I guess. But my point is, I think he emulates his mother or his grandmother. And because of that, I feel that his style of comedy is rooted in traditionalism. What are you saying? Somebody says no idea. And because his comedy is rooted in traditionalism, he knows the implication of saying, he posted a few days ago, he said, in fact, that man is not even his real father. Talking about me. When he knows that from a traditional point of view, when he says that, because that's not true. Now, him being a traditionalist, it doesn't make sense that he would insult my mother in that way when he's a traditionalist. He would insult her with such a lie. So I did what I don't usually do. When people offend me, I don't call them. When people offend me or they say something out of turn on social media, I don't call them. I don't. Because you can't change people's minds. But I called him specifically because I know him to be a traditionalist. He knows what intambi means. He knows what abafiashi means. He knows what umuchinshi means. He knows. So for him to put that post in a roundabout way, insult my mother's character, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And at first when I read it, I thought, well, but then it began to bother me because of that. I thought, wait a minute. I thought Jay was a traditionalist. So I called him up and I said to him, I said, Jay, and I spoke to him in Bemba. I said, boy, my boy. And at first he was trying to, play it off. No, I didn't mention anyone. I said, oh boy, let's be clear. I mean, let's just be honest. But if you are insulting my mother. Don't tell your audience lies. And in the process of lying, you're insulting my mother. You're insulting her character. As far as I am concerned and my siblings, we regard that as an insult. No, definitely didn't mean me. He didn't apologize. He didn't apologize. He denied it. He said, no, I wasn't talking about your mother. I said to him, you know exactly what you were doing. And I said to him, I'm very disappointed in you, Jay. And I hung up the phone. A few minutes later, he removed the post because he knew. He knew what he had done. And guys, social media 101, when someone confronts you with something, don't deny it. Don't play it off. Don't play with this. No, I didn't mention names. I didn't say anyone. No, don't do that. You know the truth. You know in here what you mean. You know in here what you're saying. Just own up to it. Just be truthful. So he pulled it down, but I must register my disappointment because I really thought he was someone that was a traditionalist. Obviously not. He's not a traditionalist. It's an act. He doesn't believe in traditionalism. If he did, he wouldn't insult an elderly person like my mother in the way that he did, by spewing falsehoods. Again, let me say, for those of you that believe that lie, and now, guys, nobody has control over what people believe. I have no control over what you believe. Not a single inch of what you believe I have control over. Perchance, if you believe that, honey, more power to you. It doesn't make a bit of difference. The truth is the truth. I know who I am and I know whose I am. Meaning I know who I belong to. Ooh, that scripture there, boy, you can't deny. I'm feeling this thing up in here, Bobby. Telling you right now. All righty. Guys, let's talk about, what was the second thing? There were three things. Please remind me. Let me just look here. Because, sometimes I forget, I forget. I do. I'll be with you in a second. Here it is. Here it is. Oh, Willa Mudolo. This is a man, a Zambian man, who resides in South Africa, who has recently announced that he wants to run for president. Now, here's the problem. Guys, let's be clear. In this season that we're in now, as we now enter 2026, there are lots of people that are going to be jostling for the position of president, and rightly so, because it's going to be up for grabs. And it's important in this season, as a Zambian people, to examine the people that are placing their names forward for leadership. There is nothing wrong with taking a political magnifying glass and then hovering it over the head, over the body, over the torso of the person vying for president, because you want to know the candidate. You want to know everything that you can possibly know about this candidate so that you can make an informed decision when it comes time for us to go to the polls and select leaders. You have to know. I get amused when I posted earlier about Willa's character. I mean, the guy is a known crook. He's a known con man. It's not an opinion. It's a fact. He was arrested along with Bushiri in a fraud scandal that involved 102 million rands. Right now, Willa is on bail in South Africa. He can't even come to Zambia. His passport is with the authorities. He has to report to the police. I think it's once every 2 weeks or something. He doesn't have the luxury of flying in and out of Zambia anytime he wants. He can't take a piss without say so. Why? Because he's on bail. How then does a person like that think in his wildest dreams that he can run for president when he's preoccupied with criminal activity in South Africa? The gall, the unmitigated gall of him to think that he can do that. And to think that the Zambian public is not going to take a closer look at him. Of course we're going to take a closer look at him. If there are any blemishes there, and honey, there are tons of blemishes there. There are tons of financial indiscretions. There are tons of rabbit holes that lead you to innuendo and mismanagement of funds and fraud. And it is a labyrinth of fraud. And yet this man has the gall, has the audacity to declare that he's going to run for president. I thought about it and I thought, why? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. Running for president is a flex. In his mind, it's a flex. And unfortunately, there are people in this country, once they hear that you're running for president, they gravitate towards you. The business community, there's some members of the business community that will come behind you and say, well, he says he's running for president. What if he becomes president? So let me just push in some money so that in case he becomes president, I'm covered. He owes me a favor. All these big corporations you see around, it's a flex. When big corporations hear that so-and-so is running for president, they break off a little something. They say, oh, Willa, we hear you're running for president. Here's a 200,000 kwacha, just in case you need it. Edio, in politics, in politics, there's no refund. That's right. In politics, takwa a refund. In politics, takwa at yo, Bwana, you lost the election. Idia 200,000 na miperedia. Can I have it back? Takwa, once you invest, chapwa shaya. There's no refund in politics. Then I realized it's a flex. All these people that are declaring their intention to run for president. I mean, there's a young man now whom I have met who, for all intent and purposes, sounds well, he doesn't sound like the guy that runs Eden University. He declared that he wants to be president, something Kaunda. He can hardly speak English. Now, some of you will hear that and say, but mwewa, English is not important. Honey, it's like sex. Sex isn't everything in a marriage, but the lack of it is. The moment sex ceases to exist in a marriage, that becomes the focal point. But when it's there, it's not a problem. So if you cannot articulate yourself clearly in English, that's a problem. I think that's a problem. You know, I really do. And this is what I think. I think not everybody is cut out to be president. And I've realized that these people who are declaring their intention to be president on an independent ticket, have you ever heard of a more ridiculous thing as a person running for president as an independent? How are you going to run the government alone? The government machinery is not going to function with you alone. This country is not a personal tohoder item. In your mind, you think, if I win the presidency, I would have done it on my own, based on my name. The presidency doesn't work like that. The presidency is a labyrinth. It is a network of efforts. You, in and of yourself, whoever you are, you go nowhere. So the only reason you're running for president as an independent, it is a flex, so that you can make money from people that you can go to and say, one day I might be president, I need your help. 200,000 here, 50,000 there, 100,000 there. It adds up. Before you know it, you've got 1 million kwacha in your account from well-wishers who think that you might be president. It's a flex. It's a con game. That's the new flex. Declaring your intention to run for president as an independent. The most stupid, the most ridiculous, the most impractical thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Anyone that declares their intention to run for president as an independent is a joker. Pay no attention to those idiots. They know nothing. This is the reason the fee that presidential candidates pay at ECZ, it should go up to about 5-10 million kwacha. So that we sift through the jokers. We sift through them. Honorable Given Mwewa, she wants to run for president. Have you ever heard of a more ridiculous thing in your life? Given Mwewa running for president? With who? Based on what? A desire to serve the country? Wake up, Zambians. Separate the wheat from the chaff. Separate the goats from the lambs. Separate the wolves from the sheep. 2026 is going to be a fantastic year, boy. Thanks for watching. Bye.